I'm Olivia, 28F, and for as long as I can remember, I've been invisible in my own family. Growing up, it was clear where I stood. My older brother, Ethan, was the golden child, star athlete, dad's pride and joy. My younger sister, Sophia, was the princess, spoiled and adored, never having to lift a finger. And then there was me, the one in the middle, the reliable one, the one who never caused trouble, which, in my family, meant the one who got ignored. I wasn't outright mistreated, just overlooked. When Ethan needed new football gear, Dad made sure he had the best. When Sophia wanted a new phone, Mom got it for her without hesitation. When my birthday came around, a half-hearted, "Oh, we should get you something," followed by whatever was on sale at the last minute. And it wasn't just about gifts. It was everything. Family vacations were planned around Ethan's tournaments. Holiday meals were centered on what Sophia wanted to eat. If I ever needed something, the response was always, "Can it wait?" Or "We'll see." But when they needed something, I was expected to drop everything. For years, I played my role. I was the helper, the responsible one, the one who stayed behind after family dinners to clean up while Sophia sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, the one who proofread Ethan's college applications while he got all the praise for doing it on his own, the one who ran errands for Mom while she took Sophia shopping for the latest fashion trends. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was late one night when I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw the pictures. A big family gathering, everyone dressed up, laughing, celebrating. It took me a second to register what I was looking at, and then I saw the caption, "Mom's 50th birthday bash." I hadn't even been invited. Not a word. Not a text. Not a call. Not even a casual mention in passing. My own mother's milestone birthday party, and I didn't even exist in their world enough for them to remember to invite me. That was the moment I realized the truth. It wasn't that I was part of the family but overlooked. I wasn't part of the family at all, at least not in the way Ethan and Sophia were. I was useful. A convenience. But I wasn't important. So I decided to test something. I told them I was moving. A simple text in the family group chat. "Hey, just a heads up. I got a new job out of state. Moving next week." A few days later, I mentioned packing in passing. Ugh. I never realized how much stuff I have. No one asked where, when, or if I needed help. That told me everything. The reactions? Underwhelming. Ethan replied with a thumbs up emoji. Sophia didn't respond at all. Mom texted, "Oh wow, congrats. Where are you going?" but didn't ask for details. Dad didn't say anything. That was it. I packed up some of my things, told a few close friends what I was doing, and then I disappeared. I didn't actually move, of course. I just stopped making myself available. No more responding to last-minute favors. No more answering calls to help real quick with something. No more fixing their problems. I wanted to see how long it would take before they noticed. The first few weeks, silence. No one checked in. No one asked if I got there safely. No, how's the new job? Just nothing. And then, the cracks started to show. Then came Ethan. His car broke down. He called and texted, assuming I'd fix things like always. I ignored it. Hours later, another text came. Had to Uber. Thanks for nothing. It was the same cycle as always until now, when I wasn't playing along. He read it, but didn't respond. Next was Sophia. She had a blowout fight with Mom. Nothing new there. But this time, she had nowhere to go. Normally, she'd crash at my place, rant about how unreasonable Mom was, and expect me to comfort her. She called twice, left a message, "Hey, can you call me? I need a place to stay." I texted back, "Sorry, I'm out of state now." No reply. Then came Mom. She called, sounding unusually warm. "Hi, sweetie. Just wanted to check in, see how you're doing." It took all of 5 minutes before she slipped in the real reason for her call. She needed help sorting out some paperwork for a loan she was trying to co-sign for Sophia. I told her I couldn't. I was busy. The shift in her tone was immediate. "Well, I just don't understand why you'd move so far away. You know family is important." I didn't bother arguing. Just said, "I have to go," and hung up. Dad took the longest to reach out. Almost 6 weeks after my move, I got a text from him. "You still have access to my tax documents, right? Need help filing." "No, how are you? No, hope you're settling in." Just straight to the point. I told him I couldn't. He actually had the audacity to text back, "You sure picked a bad time to leave." I just stared at my screen for a minute before replying. Didn't seem to matter when I was actually there. That was the end of that conversation. The results of my test were clear. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did for them. I had spent years bending over backward for people who only saw me as a convenience. But the second I stopped being useful, they didn't know what to do. For the first time in my life, I had power, and I wasn't about to give it back. For the first couple of weeks, I expected some kind of reaction. A call, maybe. A text checking in, something. But it was radio silence. No one asked if I got to my new state safely. No one wanted to know how the job was going. My parents, my siblings, nothing. It was almost laughable how little they cared. Considering how often I used to drop everything for them, I didn't chase after them. I let their messages sit unread. If they called, I ignored it. If they texted, I replied hours or days later with a simple, "Sorry, busy with work." That was it. And then, the cracks started showing. It started with Ethan. His car broke down, and normally I was the one who dealt with these things. Either I'd help him figure out a repair shop, or I'd drive him to work until it was fixed. I saw his name pop up on my screen. 3 missed calls, then a text, "Car's dead. Need you to pick me up." I waited an hour before replying, "Can't. I'm out of state." The response was instant. "What? You serious? How am I supposed to get to work?" I didn't bother replying. He didn't call back. An hour later, I got another text. I had to Uber. Cost me $40. "Thanks for nothing. No, hope you're doing well. No, how's the new job?" Just immediate frustration that I wasn't there to clean up his mess. A few days later, it was Sophia. She and Mom had a fight, nothing new there, but normally, when things got heated, she'd pack a bag and crash at my place. I had always been her backup plan, her safe space, the person she ran to when she needed someone to complain to. This time, I wasn't an option. She called twice. I ignored both. Exciting. Then she texted, "Are you home?" I responded, "Nope, still out of state." 2 minutes later, "You seriously just left?" "Then I need somewhere to stay for a couple of days. You can't just leave me hanging like this." I left it on read. A few hours later, I saw a vague Instagram story. A selfie with red, puffy eyes and the caption, "Some people don't care about family like they say they do." I knew exactly who that was meant for. A week later, Mom called. It was the first time she reached out directly since my move. Her voice was unusually sweet. She asked how I was, how the job was going, said she missed hearing my voice. It was so out of character that I almost laughed. Then, 5 minutes in, she slipped. "So, I was wondering your name is still on the old insurance paperwork. Could you take a quick look?" And there it was. I cut her off. Told her I was busy. She hesitated, then went straight to guilt mode. "I just don't understand why you'd move so far away," she sighed. "Family is everything, you know." I let the silence stretch, then said, "Funny. Didn't seem to be that important when I was still around." She backtracked immediately. "Oh, come on, you know we love you. Things have been hectic." Then, with a slight edge to her voice, "You're making it seem like we don't care at all." I didn't bother arguing. I told her I had to go and hung up. She texted 5 minutes later. "Well, I hope you don't forget about your family while you're off on your big adventure." I didn't reply. Dad was the last to break. He didn't care about emotional stuff. He wasn't the type to say "I miss you" or "How are you?" If he called, it meant he needed something. And sure enough, 2 weeks after Mom's call, I got a text. "You still have access to my tax documents, right? Need help filing." No "how are you?" No small talk. Just straight to business. I replied, "Can't. You'll have to do it yourself this year." The response came within minutes. "You sure picked a bad time to leave." I just stared at it for a second, then typed. Didn't seem to matter when I was actually there. He didn't reply. Later that evening, Mom called again. This time she wasn't pretending to be sweet. "I don't understand why you're acting like this," she said. "You just disappeared. It's like you don't even care about your own family." I let her talk, let her go on about how I was being selfish, how family is supposed to help each other, how I should have at least warned them before making such a big decision. Then she hit me with it. The one thing I knew was coming, after everything we've done for you. I almost laughed. Instead, I asked, "Like what?" Silence. She fumbled, then landed on, "We raised you. We provided for you." "Yeah, and I provided for myself," I said, "and for all of you." She didn't like that answer. She huffed, mumbled something about how she never thought I'd turn out like this, then hung up. The next morning, Ethan texted me. "Didn't realize how much I relied on you." Guess I took it for granted. It wasn't exactly an apology, but it was the closest I'd ever get from him. If Ethan had a slight moment of realization, Sophia went the opposite direction. The next day, I started getting weird texts from mutual friends. A couple of them asked if something had happened between me and my family. One even asked if I was okay. Confused, I checked Sophia's Instagram. She had posted some long-winded rant about family betrayal, and some people only being around when it benefits them. No names, but it was obvious who she meant. Then came the texts. "How could you just abandon everyone?" "Mom's heartbroken." "Dad stressed." "All because you decided to be selfish." I responded once, "You mean all because I stopped doing everything for you?" She didn't reply. They didn't miss me. They missed the free labor. I had spent years being the fixer, the problem solver, the one who held everything together. The second I stopped, everything started falling apart. But here's the thing. None of them actually wanted me back. They just wanted the version of me that was useful. And I wasn't going to be that person anymore. It took a month for my mother to finally crack. She called one evening, her voice unusually sweet, the kind of tone she only used when she wanted something. It was almost funny how obvious it was. After a full month of barely acknowledging my so-called move, now she suddenly cared. She started with small talk, asked how I was, how the new job was going, said she missed hearing my voice. That alone was a red flag. My entire life, she had never been the type to check in just to chat. But I let her talk, waiting for the real reason she had finally picked up the phone. It didn't take long. She hesitated for just a second before slipping it in. Sophia needed a cosigner for a loan. Mom assured me it was just a small favor, nothing major, just a little signature to help my poor sister stay in school. I didn't even hesitate. I told her no. The fake warmth in her voice disappeared instantly. She went straight into guilt mode, said family was supposed to help each other, asked what people would think if they knew how selfish I'd become, said it wasn't a big deal, and that she wouldn't have even asked if she had any other options. I didn't engage, I just repeated that I wasn't doing it. Then came the classic line. "After everything we've done for you." I almost laughed. "Can't Mom or Dad cosign?" I asked, already knowing the answer. Their credit was shot. I was the only option. That if I was so important to the family, they sure didn't act like it when there was nothing they needed from me. She tried to downplay it, said it was just a small thing, that it wasn't intentional, that they didn't think I'd mind. I didn't argue. I just told her that if they hadn't thought about me then, they didn't get to think about me now. And then I ended the call first. No drawn out back and forth. No justifications. Just click. It was probably the first time in my life I had hung up on her instead of the other way around. A few hours later, she texted me an apology, said she was sorry if I felt left out. Then, right at the end of the message, she asked about the loan again. I didn't respond. The next morning, Ethan texted me. Just one sentence. "Damn, I didn't realize how bad it was until now." That was the only acknowledgement I got from him. No apology, no attempt to fix things. Just an observation, like he was realizing for the first time how the family had treated me. I didn't reply. Sophia, on the other hand, didn't stay quiet. The loan must have been important to her because within a day, she had already started spinning the narrative. Suddenly, I wasn't just gone. I was the villain. Friends started reaching out, asking if everything was okay between me and my family. Some were vague, saying they had heard things. Others were more direct, saying Sophia was telling people I had abandoned them. that I had changed, that I was being cruel for no reason. I checked her Instagram. Sure enough, there it was, a long, dramatic post about family betrayal and how some people only care about themselves when it really counts. No names, but it was obvious who she meant. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. I didn't try to correct the record. I let her talk. Because at the end of the day, the truth was simple. They weren't upset that I was gone. They were upset that I was finally useless to them. It took 6 weeks for my dad to finally acknowledge that I was gone. And even then, it wasn't because he missed me. It was because he needed something. He never called just to talk. If my dad's number popped up on my phone, it meant one of two things. Either something was broken, or he needed me to handle something he didn't feel like dealing with. This time, it was the latter. His voice started off stiff, like he wasn't sure how to approach this. He asked how I was doing, how work was going. It was awkward, like someone going through the motions of small talk, but not actually caring about the answers. It took less than 2 minutes before he got to the real reason he was calling. Tax season hit, and Dad thought he could handle it. A week later, I got a text. IRS flagged something. Need help. His tone was clipped, embarrassed. Without me smoothing things over, the stakes were piling up. And now they had consequences, and now, with me out of state, he was stuck. I told him I couldn't help. He acted surprised, like he hadn't seen that response coming. I reminded him I had moved. He muttered something under his breath, then sighed. You sure picked a bad time to leave. I didn't even hesitate. Oh? And what would have been a good time? There was a pause, like he hadn't expected me to push back. Then he launched into how I should have at least warned them before making such a big decision. Said it was irresponsible to just up and go without any notice. I reminded him they didn't even invite me to Mom's birthday. So why exactly would I have given them a heads up? Silence. Then came the entitlement. He started talking about everything the family had done for me. How I should be grateful. How family sticks together. I asked him, grateful for what? Being your unpaid secretary? Your emergency contact, but never your daughter? He didn't like that. His voice got clipped. He said I was acting differently, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. Then, the thing that sealed it, well, you never complained before. I let that sit for a moment. Then I told him I had to go and ended the call first. A few days later, Mom called. She didn't bring up taxes. She didn't mention Dad's call. Instead, she launched straight into damage control. Told me she hated seeing the family like this. That we shouldn't be fighting. That life's too short for grudges. I let her talk. Then I told her I was busy. I hung up before she could say anything else. Dad never called again. Sophia was furious. If my parents were desperate, she was outright losing it. I guess it finally clicked for her that without me, she had no backup plan. No emergency crash pad when she fought with Mom. No free rides when she needed to go somewhere. No one to pick up the slack when she didn't feel like handling her own responsibilities. And rather than take responsibility, she decided to play dirty. Her first attempt was subtle. A casual text, too casual, given the way she had been ignoring me for weeks. She asked how I was, threw in a hope you're doing well, and even added a little heart emoji at the end. I ignored it. An hour later, she sent another message. Are you seriously not even going to answer? I ignored that too. Then the real fun began. She started running her mouth to mutual friends. A few of them reached out, clearly uncomfortable but curious. Hey, is everything okay with you and your family? Sophia's been saying some stuff. It wasn't hard to figure out what she had been telling them. According to her, I had abandoned the family. Just up and left with no warning, no concern for anyone but myself. She made it sound like I had been brainwashed by outside influences, like I was some lost soul who had been led astray, and was now destroying our family. She didn't stop there. She cranked up the guilt tripping, painting herself as the tragic little sister, betrayed and abandoned by someone who was supposed to be there for her. She told people that Mom was heartbroken, that Dad was overwhelmed, that I was being selfish beyond belief. Then came the financial manipulation. She texted me again, this time skipping the fake kindness. She got straight to the point. If you don't co-sign this loan, I'll have to drop out of college. I replied once. That sounds like a you problem. That set her off. I got an essay in response. Paragraphs about how much I had changed, how I used to be a good sister, how she couldn't believe I was being this cruel. She wrote about family obligations, about how she would never have done this to me, about how I was proving that money mattered more to me than my own blood. I left it on read. Then she took it public. At first, she just sent a single text, I don't get why you're acting like this. When I didn't answer, she tried another, Mom's really upset, you could at least talk to her. Then came the vague Instagram posts about fake family. And when that didn't work, she went full meltdown mode online, and about how some people change the moment they think they don't need their family anymore. It was vague, but the comment section made it obvious who she was talking about. Mutual friends chimed in with fake sympathy. Distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years offered support. A few even reached out to me directly, asking if we could talk and if I could consider fixing things. I didn't engage. I let her make a fool of herself. When she realized I wasn't reacting, she switched tactics. Instead of going after me directly, she went after our parents. She told them I had been influenced by outside forces, that something must have happened to me, or that I wasn't thinking clearly, that if they didn't do something, I might never come back. Mom fell for it. She called me, sobbing. She said she didn't recognize me anymore, that I wasn't the daughter she raised, that I had never been this cold before. I shut it down. I finally started treating you the way you always treated me. The sobbing stopped. Just silence. Then she hung up. Sophia's last move was the most predictable. She tried to get Dad involved. She went to him, played the victim, and convinced him to force me to fix things. Maybe she thought he had more control over me. Maybe she figured I'd break under pressure. Either way, a day later, I got a call from Dad. I didn't answer. A voicemail popped up. It was short. He said we needed to talk. That enough was enough. That I had made my point, but that I needed to grow up and do the right thing. I deleted it. He tried again the next day, and the next. Each time, I ignored him. The messages got shorter. Then they stopped altogether. I could tell they were running out of tactics. And for the first time in my life, I was completely out of their reach. It had been 2 months since I moved. I thought my family would finally give up. Instead, they went for their most ridiculous stunt yet. Mom called early in the morning, the kind of call that makes your stomach drop before you even pick up. Her voice was shaking. It sounded serious. She said it was an emergency. For a split second, I thought something had actually happened. Maybe someone was in the hospital. Maybe there had been an accident. My heart started racing as I braced myself for whatever news was coming. Then she told me what the emergency was. She needed me to come home immediately to help with a financial issue. I waited, thinking there had to be more. A reason why this was urgent. A reason why it was my problem. There wasn't. She just needed me because apparently I was the only one who could fix things. I asked if she was serious. She doubled down, said I wouldn't understand because I'd never had a family of my own. That if I did, I'd know how important it was to step up when people needed me. That was it. I snapped. I told her the truth, that she only cared because she needed me. That if I really mattered, she would have noticed I was gone sooner. She tried to backtrack, her voice softer now. Said we should talk. That I should just come home so we could figure everything out as a family. I stayed firm. I told her no. She kept pushing, said I was making a mistake. That family is everything. I hit her with the final blow. Funny. You never acted like that when I was around. Silence. She had no comeback. I hung up. Less than an hour later, Sophia had another meltdown on social media. A long, dramatic post about family betrayal and how sad it is when people forget who was always there for them. No names, but it was clear who she meant. Her usual audience flooded the comments, offering sympathy. A few of them even reached out to me directly, urging me to make amends before it's too late. I ignored them. Ethan had been quiet for weeks. But one night, after hearing Mom rant about me, he finally texted, "I think I get it now. Always thought they leaned on you, but I didn't realize how much." It wasn't a full apology, but for him, it was close enough. Just those 5 words. I didn't reply. By this point, I could tell they were spiraling. Every failed attempt to pull me back only exposed more cracks in their dynamic. They were panicking, not because they missed me, but because they couldn't control me anymore. For the first time in my life, I felt free, and I had no intention of stopping now. At this point, my family was desperate. They had tried guilt-tripping me, turning friends against me, and even faking emergencies. None of it worked. So they did something even dumber. They took their sob story to social media. Mom was the one to make the post. A long, dramatic Facebook rant about how heartbreaking it is when children abandon their loving parents. She went all in, talked about sacrifices she made as a mother, about how she always did her best, about how painful it is to be ignored by your own child. Then came the kicker. We raised her, supported her, and now she won't even pick up the phone. The sympathy comments started rolling in almost immediately. People who had no idea what was actually going on flooded the post with messages of support. Distant relatives and old family friends told her to stay strong. Some commented things like kids these days have no respect and she'll regret this one day. It was exactly what she wanted. A flood of pity. A narrative where she was the heartbroken mother and I was the selfish, ungrateful daughter who had abandoned her family for no reason. I let the comments build up for a few hours. Then I left one of my own. You didn't even invite me to Mom's birthday party. You only call when you need something. It was short, direct, but it was enough. The reaction was instant. My comments started getting more attention than the post itself. People who had blindly sided with her started questioning things. A few family friends responded with things like, "Wait, what do you mean they didn't invite you? And that doesn't make sense. Why would they leave you out?" Then extended relatives got involved. Some of them messaged me privately, confused. They had no idea I had been left out of family events. A few admitted they had assumed I was just too busy to attend. They had believed the version of events my parents had fed them for years. Now, they weren't so sure. Sophia jumped in next. She tried to spin it, said it was just a misunderstanding, said I was overreacting, that it wasn't on purpose, that they had thought I was busy and didn't want to bother me. I shut it down. If it was a misunderstanding, why did no one even notice I wasn't there? No response. The longer the post stayed up, the worse it got for them. The sympathy started to shift. People who had blindly taken their side started questioning things. The cracks in their perfect image were showing, and they couldn't contain it. Mom panicked. She messaged me directly. This time, she dropped the dramatic heartbroken mother act. She told me we needed to talk privately instead of airing family business online. I didn't let her control the narrative. You made it public first. Own it. Less than an hour later, the post disappeared. Deleted. Wiped clean. Like it had never happened. But the damage was already done. Some people had already seen it. Some had already started talking. Their perfect where such a loving family image was crumbling, and there was nothing they could do about it. A little later, I got a text from Ethan. I always knew they played favorites, but I didn't realize how bad it was. "I'm sorry." It was the first time he had acknowledged it outright. I didn't reply. I wasn't looking for an apology. I was just watching everything they built fall apart. After their public humiliation, my family went quiet. For the first time since I moved, there were no guilt-tripping texts, no fake emergencies, no desperate attempts to pull me back. I thought maybe finally they had given up. I was wrong. A few weeks later, Mom called. Her number popped up on my screen, and for a moment I almost ignored it. But curiosity got the better of me. I picked up. Her voice was different this time. Softer. Apologetic. She said they had realized things, that they hadn't been fair to me, that they just wanted to fix things. She sounded genuine. For a second, I almost believed her. Then she mentioned Sophia's loan. Not even 5 minutes into the conversation, she slipped it in, said that since we were finally talking, maybe I could help my sister out just this once. My response was instant. "Oh, so this isn't about fixing things. You just ran out of people to use." The shift was immediate. She backpedaled. Said no, that's not what she meant. Said it was just that family helps family, and that we need to stick together. I stayed cold. You didn't need me until I stopped being useful to you. There was silence. Then Dad got on the line. He tried to be the rational one, like he always did. Said they weren't perfect, but that they had always provided for me. Yeah. I didn't let him get away with it. You provided for Ethan and Sophia. I provided for myself. That was the final straw. The mask slipped completely. His voice changed. He snapped. Said I was acting like a selfish brat. Said I'd regret this someday. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just hung up. An hour later, Sophia sent a text. Enjoy being alone forever. I didn't even respond. I blocked them all. No more texts. No more calls. The silence was beautiful. And for the first time, it felt final. It has been 6 months since I moved away. Not a word from my parents. No desperate calls. No guilt-tripping texts. No fake emergencies. Just silence. And in that time, I've watched their world slowly crumble from a distance. Ethan has kept his distance. He never tried to drag me back or guilt-trip me after that last text. He hasn't reached out since. If he's angry, I wouldn't know. If he understands why I did what I did, he hasn't said. But out of everyone, he's the only one who hasn't tried to pull me back into the mess. Sophia wasn't so lucky. Without me co-signing her loan, she had no backup plan, no magical solution, no safety net. And without the loan, she couldn't afford to stay in college. A few months in, she had to drop out. She blamed me, of course. She posted bitter rants online, taking the same family betrayal angle she had used before. Long, dramatic posts about selfish siblings and how some people just throw their family away when they don't need them anymore. But this time, no one cared. After I exposed the truth publicly, people stopped siding with her. The sympathy ran out. Her little act didn't work anymore. She was just another person complaining online, trying to get pity from strangers who didn't know the full story. Mom and Dad weren't doing any better. At first, they managed. Bills were late, but not catastrophic. Tasks piled up, but they got by. Then came the bigger cracks: missed deadlines, overdue payments. Eventually, it snowballed into something they couldn't ignore. Mom had to start doing things she had pushed onto me for years, things she never even realized I had been managing in the background. Dad struggled the most. Taxes, paperwork, budgeting. All of it was a mess without me there to clean it up. And people started noticing. Extended relatives began asking questions, noticed I wasn't around anymore, wondered why I had suddenly vanished from family gatherings. A few weeks after I moved, distant relatives started reaching out, confused. You weren't at Mom's birthday? I thought you were busy with work. At first, they believed my parents' excuses, but as time passed and I stayed gone, the questions got sharper. That I turned my back on family. That they had no idea what happened. Only that one day, I just stopped answering. But this time, her story didn't hold, because Ethan finally set the record straight. I don't know why he did it. Maybe he was tired of the lies. Maybe he had finally started putting the pieces together. Maybe he just wanted to be left alone. But at some point, when relatives started pressing for details, he told them the truth. Told them I had been treated like an afterthought for years. That I had been used and expected to handle everything without question. That I wasn't even invited to Mom's birthday party. And that when I left, the only reason they wanted me back was because they needed something from me. After that, the support started to fade. Family friends who had blindly sided with my parents began to distance themselves. The pity comments stopped. The concerned messages dried up. And instead of sympathy, my parents started getting side-eyed questions they didn't have good answers for. The financial fallout hit not long after. Without me constantly bailing them out, they had to deal with their own mess. Money got tighter. The safety net they had relied on for years was gone. And suddenly, they were facing the reality of their own decisions. Sophia, despite everything, refused to learn. Even after all of this, she still saw herself as the victim. She still believed I had ruined her life. That if I had just done the right thing, she wouldn't have been forced to struggle. That none of this would have happened if I hadn't been so selfish. I didn't care. I felt nothing. No guilt. No anger. Just peace. For the first time in my life, I was free. No stress. No expectations. No manipulation. Just quiet. They had every chance to treat me like family. They chose not to. And now I was choosing to walk away for good. I wasn't looking back.